I think the first thing, especially when I started, right, nobody thought that Latinos, South American can do this kind of work. Explain to Americans how good Latinos could be in IT, and a lot of showing how good we are, showing the value of our work. That's made a big difference, right? And nowadays, just really good, right? We have so many people working remotely from the US, from different states. Everything help.
Hey, welcome back to the show. And today I'm so excited because we're talking with another outsourcing master. And I love these guys because I've been one of these guys. Thiago, will you let us know who you are and what you do?
Sure. My name is Thiago Maior. I'm the CEO and founder of EasyOps Cloud, an outsourcing company, focus on cloud and DevOps for the past 9 years.
Nice.
A huge journey, right? Being, I think, one of the biggest thing that we have accomplished is being, the biggest cloud and DevOps agency on Upwork. Over, I think, 600 projects completed, right?
Wow.
And our team is almost more than 70 people right now, planning to get to
Perfect.
100 this year, right? Really scary moment, but pretty exciting.
I love it. This is such a fun stage in growth. I mean, you're doing millions in revenue. You got 70 employees. You're trying to get to that magic 8-digit mark in revenue. And tell me about what does your product do specifically? Because you said cloud. You help bring companies into the cloud. I think a lot of companies already assume that they're in the cloud, but they're not really. So how do you differentiate what you do to help a company versus what they think they're already doing?
I think the vision for this past 9 years was to truly be able to help, especially startups, to get the product ready to be launched in the cloud, right? It means that, having a product that is secure, that is scalable, right?
Yeah.
And is optimized for the cloud in a way that companies can really focus on the development side of their product, right? So over the time,
Right.
and when I started EasyOps, I was just a cloud engineer back in Brazil, where I am originally from, and where is also
Right.
my team base, right? I could see the opportunity of having professionals being able to provide this kind of infrastructure for them, and
Right.
it was also clear to me how hard it is for companies to find this kind of professional, right? So
Right.
it is someone that that it needs to be highly technical, needs to have a lot of experience, it needs to be highly motivated to work sometimes for companies that are not so big, so that might not be that exciting to work with, right? So what we have accomplished, it was able to provide this kind of service, just like it was a single professional. So we won't be that much of a burden sometimes on the company budget, right? And we are able to provide this service as a team, so they don't have to rely on just one profession, right? So
I love it.
it is
So
a
rather than having just one person they hire to do this thing, you're bringing in a whole team that specialize in little different parts of that onboarding into the cloud. Is that what you're saying?
That's what I'm saying. Sometimes just one person is able to do the job, but you have a whole team that understand everything that person is doing, right? So they
I
don't
love it.
rely on just a single professional, right? Especially on the cloud base, right? Downtimes and any issues with the environment, they have to rely on that person that needs to be available sometimes 24/7, right? So
I
with
love it.
they can have that kind of rotation and always having somebody available to do that kind of job. But I think also we help even more, right? Because eventually we are supporting so many companies that we provide that experience and that knowledge for them, right? So
Right.
not that they are hiring somebody that understand a little bit about that infrastructure and getting the experience with them, but also already the full experience, everything that they need in order to provide that kind of service, right? So I think
And what is the when you say that service, like what is the transition? Where are you bringing them from, and where are you trying to get them to? What does that journey look like?
sure. Sometimes companies have the infrastructure, but they are really not deployed the right way, right? It means that
Okay.
the application is not scalable, the application is a little slow, their application is not really secure, so a lot of risks that involve not having application not well configured. They are paying too much for cloud service, right? They are paying too much even for the actually person that actually building all the infrastructure, right? Uh,
Okay.
so we have done so many times that kind of thing, right? It's so operational for us that
Yeah.
we're able to quickly deploy a full environment for them and just be able to support it as they need, right? And even with some kind of with 24/7 support means that anytime there is any problems, we can help them, right? So
So
it's
are you talking about like really like aligning people's tech stack so that everything's talking together the best way? Or like what applications are we talking about synchronizing and getting enabled?
Yeah, full. I think nowadays, right, everybody's using containers, right? Everybody's using
Right.
Docker or Kubernetes at some level, right? So
Right.
we do
Right.
something around that, pipelines. So being able to deploy automatically, being able to have a developer that push code directly to GitHub and
Gotcha.
automatically deploys to their environment with no downtime whatsoever, being able to have
Gotcha.
right? So they really have to focus. So they really can't focus on the product development, and we can focus on everything else, right?
Cool.
So
Cool. So
um,
you're really talking to SaaS companies, people providing real technical solutions to clients without, maybe they started on a very simple architecture, but they're needing to migrate to something bigger, and you're helping them cross that chasm there.
oh, definitely, right? So just as
Okay, I
sometimes
gotcha.
they have the developers that just build the environment, sometimes they did choose a technology that back then was the right one, but over
I
time,
getcha.
right? Companies, especially clouds, they change it, they change the priority, right? So they need to understand what is the best approach there, right? So
I see.
I think that also on the infrastructure level, um, the more experience you have your professionals, the better, right? I think
Yeah. Yeah.
wise, okay, you're building a product, they have to build together. But on the infrastructure, the fact that we have so many clients at the same times evolves our professional really quicker
Oh,
if
for sure.
we're fully dedicated.
Yeah, you're seeing the most common problems repeat themselves over and over again. So you know how to solve them much quicker than someone would if they were only running a single application themselves.
Right, of course, right? So anything that we see for one client is applied for all of them, right?
I
So
love it. I
that
love it.
that's make everything easier, right? More professional, right? And quicker, right? Eventually, we are paying,
Right.
IT people hours of work, right? So the less, the better, right?
Well, and if you can shave a year of development and migration problems and headache out of your business's growth, that's amazing. The transformation you're able to bring to them in a very quick way, I'm guessing.
And to be honest, I have clients that get to us, so stressed, right? I think sometimes we remove the stress, right?
Right.
So many downtime. There's so many problems in my platform, right? I can't sleep. I can't talk to clients every time they're complaining, right?
Right.
We go through the process that to stabilize everything and make them being able to just focus on development is really really nice, right? So
I
I think
love it.
a huge stress point that usually we remove from clients.
I love it. Well, talk to me then. So now we understand exactly what you're doing, who you're helping, and how this business where it's at right now. But we've got a 9-year journey to kind of recap in just a couple minutes here. I mean, you started in Brazil. You're a Brazilian native, but you now living in the U.S. Tell us about like what key decisions did you make in that process that have gotten you to where you're at today?
Sure. I think everybody have a little history. I think for me, it's just I was the right time, right?
Yeah.
I was, I started to learn about cloud and DevOps 10 years ago that I already thought that was a little late, but I don't think so anymore, right?
Right.
So I think back in Brazil, everybody was starting to look a lot about with cloud and DevOps professionals, and
Right.
especially DevOps engineer, right? So I also think that over the years, we had that big boom of hiring professionals, IT professionals, especially in
Sure.
the US with a huge salary, right? Especially 2020,
Yeah.
21, right? And eventually startups, they didn't have anyone, right? They had to rely on
Yeah.
fixers, somebody that they never met, right? And it is a pretty important role, right? So what happens that the more good work I did with my clients, the more clients,
Yeah.
more and more work. So I started to get so many new clients that I just realized I think I have a business in my hand, right? And back then everybody wants to work with big companies, but I just,
Yeah.
oh, I don't want to work in a big company. I think I want to work with startups because it's much more so much better to build the whole infrastructure, right? And big companies are
Right.
so bureaucratic, and you just do a little piece of the work, right? But with startups, with smaller companies, you build everything. You become
Yeah.
fully responsible for that. So that was pretty excited. But eventually, all that good work transforming a lot of clients, a lot of hours of work. And then I had this business. I saw an opportunity also of hiring some colleagues of mine back in Brazil, right?
Right.
And that's just exploded. This the same thing that we have been done the last 9 years. So a lot of great clients, a lot of great responses, right? So we just started to pile up clients, increase the team. I really focus on startup from the US. So eventually, I had so many clients that I just thought by myself, like, what if I just moved there, right?
Right.
That's what I did 3 years ago. When I moved, everything changed, because now you're local, you have a local company. So also
Yeah.
our
Yeah.
clients are able to find us, right? And that's where we are.
Well, this is such a fun story because, I've been in the outsourcing world for a long time. Really since 2006, when Google Cloud first came out. That was when I first started to use offshore labor and offshore teams to provide services. And at the time, it was very different. I was doing architectural drafting, and now we're in this stage where you're doing very complex cloud enablement for companies that are trying to scale into some very large operations. Um, from your perspective, having grown up in Brazil and now built a company there, moved and migrated to the US, what are some of the most significant opportunities that you were able to grab onto that have been able to enable you to get here to do what you've done?
Yeah. So I think the first thing, especially when I started, right, nobody uh, thought that no Latinos, South American can do this kind of work, right?
Right.
But at the same
Right.
time, I was in Brazil. There are so many local great people there, so I knew that, and I was hired initially for with a big consulting firm here in the U.S. And,
Yeah.
they didn't know about that. 90%
Yeah.
from India and Pakistan, so a little bit
Sure.
from Eastern Europe, right? They
Yep. Yep. Yep.
saw that. And, I was working with all those Latinos in Brazil. I knew how good they were, right? So
Yeah.
I think I also tried to, explain to Americans how good Latinos could be in IT. And
Yeah.
as the years goes by, more to work remotely, a lot of investment on that part, and a lot of, showing how good we are, showing the value of our work. That's made a big difference, right? And nowadays, with the whole thing of work
Yeah.
remotely, it's just really good, right? We have so many people working remotely from the US, right?
Yep.
From different states, but from Brazil, and with the same time zone also, everything
Yeah. Yeah.
help.
That's a big deal. It's a
Yeah.
big deal. I've primarily been based in the Philippines, and I have used the Eastern Bloc, but I am finding more and more there's some real talent to draw upon in our own time zones down in South America. So I really appreciate the exposure that we're giving you right now, because I feel like you're the right solution for a lot of companies looking to offshore, but getting frustrated with the time differences and even some of the cultural differences.
Yes.
Sometimes it's a little easier to adapt to a South American vibe than it is to Asia or Eastern Europe.
Of course, I'm living in Florida, right? So many Latinos here that is also
Right.
a great place to do business. But I think that working remotely and explaining how good South Americans can be also to provide this kind of work made a big difference over the years.
That's awesome. Awesome. Well, good work, man. Way to go. So as you've been growing and you've built this team now to about 70 people and you're looking forward to getting that 100 employee mark and eventually crossing that 10 million revenue mark, what are some challenges that you're seeing that you still need to resolve that you're working through right now?
So I think that every company that you find will try to discuss the whole lead generation problem, right? So
Yeah,
how they can see opportunities that because there are so many outsourcing companies there, we
right.
see like with 5,000 employees, right? 10,000 employees, they get the
Yeah,
big contracts, right? So
yeah,
you always have to develop yourself. You always have to do something new, something, that gets you different. You can differentiate yourself than all those companies
yeah,
that are out there that have the big contract, that have the big reference, the big contacts, right? um
right,
so- and as a tech guy, as a tech founder and CEO, it's hard for sometimes for those founders to really understand lead generation and marketing, right? So you have to
right,
develop yourself in a lot of different things to be able to sell and to generate those leads, right? But I do
right,
think one thing that we are in the moment that everybody's curious about one thing, right? And that's AI. So
right,
I think that you need to leverage that. You need to leverage the fact that everybody is searching for something like that, and that can also
right.
be the differentiation that those big companies sometimes struggle a little bit to get, right?
Yeah, they
It's
do.
like that, any change takes years, right, to be applied in the whole organization. You have a smaller
So,
company, that thing might be quicker, right?
and in your solution set that you're providing for companies, are you looking to develop AI solutions for your clients, or are you looking to incorporate more AI solutions in the way that you're providing your service? I'm curious, how are you approaching AI in the development of your business model?
I think that there is a opportunity to mix both, right? So
Yeah,
you
yeah,
can build a product and provide a service based on that product, right? You can provide service with AI involved, or you can build your own AI for clients, right?
right,
So many opportunities right there, that you just have to be able to invest, right? That is another thing that you have to be a company on a specific
right,
level that you're able to invest so clients can see that value, right? So of course, we have 9 years of experience. We have a lot of clients
right.
to show, right? So, but also you need something more. And I think AI is really um, giving that something more to us, right?
Interesting.
Because AI,
Well, it's definitely we're definitely sitting on that crux right now of kind of .com 2.0 where we're trying to figure out how do we actually incorporate AI into both our own processes and procedures as well as how do we help our clients implement that. And I feel like you're taking the right approach of doing both at once
yes,
and probably identifying things that are helping you will probably help your clients as well.
yes, and not something that is a huge investment, of course, right?
Yeah,
But some things that really gets your whole experience that you can put on a product, put on something, right? So
right,
it's
right.
it's not just people saying, right? Now you have something that you can really show, right? And you can really tell clients how you did that, right? And how you use
I
your
love it.
experience in order to do that. So it's something that service company always look for, right? How can I show clients without being like a marketing
Yeah,
the
yeah,
thing marketing story, right? So something that it is a product, right?
yeah,
But at the same time, that can show you everything that you have, all the experience that you have put together over
sure,
these years with the clients, right? So
sure,
I think AI can give you both of the situations, right? Because it's something that you have to develop, you have to put up the time in order to build something. And it gives you the opportunity to show how good you are, right? So at the same,
totally.
not that huge investment, right? We were talking about the .com whole experience, but I believe that even that time it took a long time to build a website .com, right? So
It did.
of money, a lot of infrastructure, right? A lot of servers and everything
Yeah,
to be able to have that. With AI, especially if you use the cloud, you might not need that whole investment, but you do need a lot of experience. You do need a lot of knowledge, right, to be able to build something that really works, right?
totally. Well,
Um,
that I think that's a great challenge you're trying to address. I'm curious, you know, even looking back just in the last 3 years since you've kind of adopted your move to Florida and are home based here in the States. What were some challenges that you encountered in that move and that transition that maybe you didn't foresee coming that you've been able to work through to get stabilized?
uh, Really hard, right? A lot of challenges being moving to another country. A lot of
Yeah,
challenge with no open the company altogether, right? They understand different laws that you have to follow. Um, And I think one of the hardest things for any company is being able to have the team ready when the work comes, right? Any IT
yeah,
service. How do you hire that amount of that amount of people? Uh,
right,
Having the right team at the right time, right? So you have to invest. Now it's hard because you have to invest in marketing, you have to invest sometimes in products, but you also have
right,
to invest in the team. And the team is, it still is the most expensive thing you have on a service
right,
company.
right. High overhead costs.
It's really complicated. So I think that the hard part is that so you have moments in the year that you have a lot of projects, so you hire a lot, and you have a lot
Yeah,
of moments that you don't have that amount. So you have to be able to say no to some projects that is really hard.
for
Otherwise,
sure.
you grow and you don't have that amount of projects, and then you have to let go of few people. So I think that was the hardest part. And as you do this big
You know, and staying on that, how do you balance that? Because I know that having been in the BPO world myself, you know, every one of my clients have felt like we're like, well, your labor's so cheap, you know, blah 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 blah. Why do you need to charge so much? And yet, what they don't understand is that you've got to carry the weight of that overhead, whether they've got a project or not. And
yes.
so even though the labor is cheaper comparatively speaking, you've also got to pay for their development. You got to pay for them to be working, even if they don't have a lot of active clients assigned to them. How do you help your clients see the value in continuing to utilize an offshore team versus hiring someone in house or something like that?
It's really hard, right? Um,
Yeah,
but I can tell you, because you also you can charge that much, right?
right.
Especially you are an outsource, so there are so many companies that are outsourced that are charging less than you because they are taking a lot of risks that they shouldn't. They maybe
Huge risk.
gonna have,
Yeah,
but they are taking because they need to charge even cheaper, right?
yeah,
So
yeah.
clients are gonna see that, oh, you can charge double about more than the other company, you can charge a
Right,
bit more, right? So you can charge that amount. So
right.
here's the thing: in order to evolve from that, what we do is that we do a lot of data analysis, right? So we get information from the past 3 years. We understand how many leads we got, how many
Yeah.
contracts that we might close, and that's the amount of resources that we need, right? So I think the source is data analysis, and now with AI you can get your data and put on AI, and AI can even give you trends to see, oh,
Totally.
you need that amount of resources, right? So
Right.
that's the only thing. That so the more time it passes, the more data I have, so the risk are doing something that it shouldn't, it's lower. But I gotta tell that the first year in the US, we grew so much that these numbers were just crazy because they didn't reflect the last year because we weren't growing.
Right.
Right. So it was pretty hard. Now is the third year ready. So now we have enough information to make the right decisions.
I love it. Well, I can appreciate your growth journey, and I really, you know, I think everyone out there recognizes, Tiago, that to get a business past year 3 is a challenge in and of itself, but now to have 6 years in Brazil, 3 years in the US, That's an amazing feat. You've been doing a great job of stabilizing your growth and being able to adapt to these different situations. It's a very challenging thing in business growth. I'm curious, are there mentors that you've had that have kind of helped you bridge that, make that journey, or is this something you've just kind of learned from reading books? I mean, what's kind of given you the roadmap to be able to do what you've done?
Very funny, right? Because I do have a mentor here in the US, his name is,
Awesome.
he's actually have an accelerated company called Vixel. So really funny, right? The first company that actually hired me from Brazil, first remote company was a company named Flux7, big consulting firm here in the US, where he
Awesome.
was one of the founders. So he eventually sold the company like for millions. And eventually the year that I was coming here to the US was actually
Yeah,
the year that he opening an accelerator, and I just texted him. And at the same time, he just, include me on their
I love it.
list, and they helped me a lot, of
I
course.
love it.
It's really hard to
Dude,
get to
that's
this.
a really fun story, Tiago. I love that.
Yeah. So
Well,
it,
very cool.
it helped me
Well,
out.
Tiago, I appreciate the time you spent with us today, and I'm going to encourage everyone out there who's really trying to scale their back end and connect their tech stacks and migrate into a more powerful environment for your software solutions. You really should consider offshoring, and you really should consider talking to Tiago. I believe that he's got a very established program. He's got a really solid growth story, and look at him. I mean, 9 years in business. I mean, the cloud's barely twice his age. You know what I mean? This is not a new thing. I mean, this is not an old thing. And so, Tiago, thanks for sharing your story with us. And we're going to have links in the show notes down below. So take a look at what he's got going on. And Tiago, anything you want to close with before we finish this up?
I really thought it's like huge opportunity, right? So to always talk about the business, the whole journey. So thank you very much for the invitation.
Oh, thank you so much. And for those listening out there, don't get discouraged. There are going to be challenges you're going to face that seem like your growth journey is going to hit a brick wall. And I know that Tiago's hit those. I know I've hit those. And don't be discouraged. There are so many lights of hope. And I really do believe, like Tiago just expressed, find that mentor who knows you, understands you, and can help you cross those chasms that seem like there's no chance of getting over. And Tiago, you're doing it, man. I cannot wait to hear back from you when you hit that 8-digit mark and you're in the tens of millions of revenue and you're growing your team where it needs to be back in your home country. So Tiago, thanks so much for taking the time to be with us today, man.
No problem at all. Thank you, Todd.
Hey, thanks so much for being part of the show. I hope you enjoyed that conversation, and I hope that you'd go check out his company. If you're in a SaaS company or a highly technical company that's moving a lot of data back and forth through the cloud, you should probably talk with Tiago, and I really hope you do. And if you are in a growth stage right now in your company and you're not sure why you're stuck at some level of growth and can't quite make the hump, I invite you to take our free assessment at growthreadiness.com and see how you are falling short. Most founders are really, really awesome at 3 or 4 things, but there's always 3 or 4 things that they just hide, and there's skill sets you don't have. And that's okay because you're human, you're mortal. That's okay. But check out growthreadiness.com and find out where you're falling short. Find out what those little hidden traps are that you're not seeing that are keeping your company from growing the way you expect it to or want it to. We hope you enjoyed the show. We hope you go take that free assessment. And don't worry, you're not going to be bled into an endless drip campaign. We just want you to see what's happening with your growth. So check it out for free at growthreadiness.com. We'll see you later.